Good morning. Welcome to our Monday morning meditation. Thanks for joining me today. My apologies about the link last week. That was a technical difficulty in my own brain, it turns out. So thanks for trying again this week. I did go ahead and do the meditation last week and recorded it. So if you're interested, it's there on the YouTube channel. Ah, so this weekend I was being inundated a little bit with holiday posts and decorations and all the holiday things that are starting this time of year. As we do at the end of September, we start the whole slew of holidays, including Halloween, if we consider that a holiday. It's kind of a holiday. And this time of year, as a therapist, I really notice people's anxiety get heightened. There's a lot of reasons for that. One is because things just get busy this time of year. There's more parties, there's more, school has started. So for parents and kids, they're working on their homework and, you know, assignments just, kids have a lot more homework nowadays than they did when I was a kid. Whew, glad I dodged that bullet. Um, and holiday family gatherings happen more this time of year, of course. We have Thanksgiving coming up eventually, and the different end of the season, end of the year holidays, Christmas, Hanukkah, oh my gosh, all of them. New Year's, and we get together with our families. And sometimes that's a wonderful, joyful celebration. And other times it brings up a lot of stuff from history and from the past and relationships and family dynamics and all of that. Um, and one of the things that I read this week, and I posted it on my social pages for whatever that's worth. Um, it was this quote, and I'm not going to remember it exactly, but it was by a writer, Divya Venn, and she said, and I'm paraphrasing, there's a price for our togetherness, and that is we have to be more tolerant, we have to be accepting, we have to be understanding, we have to be willing to go to those gatherings, and that's the price we pay for togetherness, for community, for not being alone, for reaching out in spite of, oh my gosh, they're going to say that thing they always say. Yeah, they probably are, but it's okay. It hasn't hurt you yet. Maybe it's insulting or offensive or whatever, but you're still here. You're still here to hear it one more time. And so if we can not take those things personally, it helps our transition through this season so much more joyful. And then we can say, "'Tis the season to be jolly," and not take those things personally. We have a lot going on in the world that we're working on not taking personally while still, you know, paying attention to, still doing what we need to do for ourselves, our family, our community, our country, so forth, our world, and bringing peace to the world by having that tolerance and having that open space for disagreement and conflict. I'm putting this mildly, I realize. Um, but there's a space within us where we can hold all of the things that aren't going the way we think they should be going, or people acting in ways we don't think they should be acting. And there's a space we can hold for that that is aware and non-judgmental. Doesn't mean we don't discern the good from the bad, right and wrong. I don't want to say good from bad. I will say right and wrong because we certainly have standards for that, right, in our world. And, whether people agree with them or not is a different story. But there is right or there is wrong. So, in order to hold a space for all that's going on at a macro level in our world, all the way down to our meso level in our communities, our family gatherings, and even within ourselves. It's important to hold space for error, mistakes, people not living up to what we think they should be living up to, or people not living up to what they say they're living up to. All of that, because that's all part of humanity. That's all part of being human. And I don't know about you, but I know that when I can spot those inconsistencies in someone else, I am easily reminded of the times I've been inconsistent and I haven't lived up to what I say that I live up to and to what my values are. So, this is the planet we live on. This is the humanity we're living with. These are our brothers and sisters and others who are all around us, you know, valuable and imperfect, just like we are. So anyway, so just wanted to throw that out there. That was a lot more than I thought I was going to say about it. But one of the other things that came up mm, onto my radar this week was, and Jeff Worthington was talking about love. And he was talking about how to bring our mind into our heart instead of our heart into our mind and letting our mind lead with its judgments and its opinions and its ideas of how things are supposed to be and leading instead from our heart. And one of the things he said, which I have said before too, jokingly in classes that I've taught and work, there's a really he says lowering of standards. And I want to frame that in we're talking about acceptance and we're talking about going with the flow of people's imperfections, including our own, and just letting it be, letting it pass. It's no big deal. We make mistakes. We clean up after it. It's no big deal. Somebody else makes this mistake. Maybe they clean up after it, maybe they don't, but we're still alive. It's still okay. I don't know if you've seen the t-shirts that said that say, but did I die? Or but did you die? Like, oh my gosh, this thing was so awful and I've have this big drama going on in my life, but did you die? You're okay. We're okay. We make it through all sorts of stuff. So anyway, Jeff Worthington goes on to talk about a question that he has used over the years that just helped him move from his mind, his head, his brain, all those thoughts into his heart. And that was, what would love do? What would love do? In this moment, what would love do? If I were being loving right now, what would I do? So I've been working with that this week and I just love it. I just love it. Um, and it really has helped me kind of slow down, bring myself into my heart and ask. And honestly, I did it when I was around other people. I worked with that and just listened and flowed with that. But I also did it just wandering around on my own, at the end of the day and asking myself, what would love do if, if I were coming from love for myself, what would I have for dinner? What would I do with my time after work? And just working with that. And, you know, in the morning, it's like, okay, I don't really feel like exercising, but if I were coming from love for myself, what would love do? What would I do? Okay, then maybe I will do my little 10-minute video and be on with my day. So anyway, so that's what we're working with today, not just for our holidays, but for ourselves every day, every single day, asking, what would love do right now, in the moment? What would love do? When we focus on love in our meditation times, it generates an energy of safety. If we want to talk science, it releases oxytocin in the brain and throughout the body, which is our feel good, uplifting, open, safe brain chemical that releases when we are attuned with another person, but we can do it within ourselves too and be attuned to ourselves and release that oxytocin, that dopamine, and just feel into our own loving space within ourselves. So we're going to do that today. We're just going to ask, what would love do? What would love do? So I invite you to get comfortable in your chairs, your meditation space. And we take a couple of deep breaths, switching gears, letting go of everything else around us, in our world, in our home. Mm. And we focus on the breath for a few moments, just calming that breath, bringing it down into the belly. And just feel that heart space within you. If it helps to put your hand there to bring your attention to it, I invite you to do that. Just feel the warmth of your hand on your chest. Feel that heart beating within. And we know through neuroscience findings that the heart has a brain of its own. It works in synchrony with our brains, but it also has its own wisdom, its own authority within us, as does the gut. And right now we focus on that heart center and just see what comes up for you as you say quietly within yourself, what would love do? What would love do? You may have a list of things that love would do come to your mind. Maybe there are certain situations that you could bring more love to. Maybe there are situations that come to mind in which you already bring so much love. And we all have a mix of people, situations that are easy to love and difficult to love. But where we need to spread that love, we can ask, what would love do? And often the response simply is just be and allow the other person to just be. If you were loving yourself right now, what would that experience be like? Maybe that would be the absence of self criticism. Maybe it would feel uplifting and light. Maybe it would feel like forgiveness or compassion. And when thoughts come to mind right now, just bring your attention back to that loving heart. And we can focus on that love within, even when the mind is going wild. That love is there. We can even have a loving attitude toward the busy mind, knowing that it's just doing what it does, just like human beings do. That experience of love is reality, while the thoughts going through the mind are passing. And that simple question, what would love do, can bring us right away to that heart center where our response is likely different than it would be if we're not asking that question. And if you have time this morning to continue with this immersion in love, I invite you and encourage you to do so. If you need to go about your day, take this question with you and check in with it 1,000 times each day. We can create and sustain our own inner sense of peace and love, compassion and inclusion. What a wonderful thing to practice. What a wonderful practice to be grateful for. And if you're transitioning into your to-do list today, I invite you to take a couple of deep breaths to let your mind and body system switch gears to activity, bringing that love with you every step of the way today and every day. Thank you for joining me today. And I look forward to practicing this with you every day as well. So it's a beautiful statement, a beautiful place to reside throughout our day. So have a wonderful week, and I will see you next week. Bye bye.